Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to review the full season, the full first season of Marvel's Iron Fist, which aired on Netflix. And guys, if you're like me, you probably binge watched a lot of the episodes. So if you've done that, this review is for you. If you're viewing on an per episode basis, then please go ahead and finish watching the series. Come on back and we can finish up the review. That way you don't have spoilers coming and then you're upset with me about spoiling the show for you. So do that and then come on back and then you can finish the review. But we're gonna do the full season. Instead of me doing episode per episode, I'm just gonna go ahead and do a full season review right now on the Iron Fist. And if you've watched all the episodes, of course, then you're fine to watch it. But we're gonna go ahead and get into that right now. So let's first address some of the 800-pound gorillas in the room regarding the Iron Fist series. And from its start, we kind of got a bit on the topic of racism in the show. I didn't really go deep into why people thought it was racism. I think specifically dealing with the Asian community, and I'm sure the Asian community had their reasons why they thought it was there was some racist issues with the show. But without me doing any research and going into detail why they thought the show from the get-go was a racist show, just off the top of my head, I can just think of a few issues they may have had, with the Iron Fist show, and that is this idea of someone from another culture going into another culture and being the best of that culture and leading the people in that culture. With African people, we kind of had a similar thing with Tarzan. I believe it was Muhammad Ali who made a statement about how he felt Tarzan. He was trying to figure out how it would be likely for Tarzan to go over in Africa, be able to talk to the animals, control the animals, and be the king of the lord of the jungle, but the African people themselves couldn't be it. So in that context, I'm guessing that's probably what the Asian American community or the Asian communities probably where they had an issue with it. And of course, I don't speak for the Asian community, so me personally, I didn't really see a deep racist undertone with the show or anything like that. But again, I don't speak for the Asian community, so I'm sure they had their valid reasons why they didn't like the Iron Fist in that regard. But in the context of the show, I can only say that some of the components of the show dealing with the idea of a prophecy about an outsider coming in, being the Iron Fist, a child falls from the sky as his private jet crash, things like that. In the context of the show, I guess it would have made sense to have an outsider come into that culture and lead that culture, to that degree. But anyway, guys, so let's talk about what we got in Iron Fist. Was it a good show? Was it up to par with the other Netflix, superhero shows? Was our last Defender, did he answer the call? Is he gonna complete the Defender team in a good way? So, had a lot of critics come in on it, and I just want to say a few things. One thing I want to say is that all in all, I thought the Iron Fist, I'm going to kind of go against a lot of critics. I thought it was a pretty good show, but it wasn't without problems. But the problems I have with the show, I don't think are the same problems a lot of people had with the show. And one problem I think people had with the show was that I'm thinking that they didn't. It was really slow for a lot of people. They didn't like the pacing of the show, and I can kind of agree with that part. But in a kind of a different way. whereas I thought it pretty much fully addressed and closed, gave a complete story of the Iron Fist. I think kind of overdone it, where some people say it was slow. I think it was just too much story, really. I guess the pattern for Netflix is to make the Iron, these Marvel superhero shows all be 13 episodes per season. I don't think that should be a blueprint for a model for these shows. I think every character, every show may have a much detailed, longer story to tell than another. So I don't think you need to push them all at 13 episodes. For example, I think the Iron Fist would have done good with 8 episodes. I think they could have told this whole story in 8 episodes, and I would have been fine with that. And it was enough material to do it right. I think it was just too much information, too much stuff going on, in the Iron Fist story. Too many groups, too many people to fight, too many enemies, the Meachums, their hands, a second group of the hand, just a lot of, Danny fight himself, it just was, it was a lot of, stories going on, a lot of things that could have been cut out of the show. It could have been 8 episodes, and instead of it being that it was too slow, I don't think it was too slow. I think it was just too much information. I think a lot of stuff could have been just cut out, and I think it was enough action sequences. I think it was. I thought the action in it was was fairly well. I'm glad they didn't overpower the Iron Fist. In the you don't want to make him too powerful. Like some people complained that he got beat up a lot and that his martial arts skills didn't really seem up to par with, what the idea of the Iron Fist was supposed to be. This person who's mastered all these various forms of martial arts, and looks like you wouldn't even be able to touch him. But I kind of disagree with that. I like the fact that he struggled through his battles. That made it more interesting. I like the fact that he struggled through his battles, but he always emerged victorious through his battles. So I was fine with all that. Again, it was just, the part where they just had too many stories going on. I think they could have touched on some of these stories and left them off, to the to basically season 2 of the next, Iron Fist. I didn't think he had to complete everything. Just like at the end when he gets to Kung Lao and he sees that it's been infiltrated, that because he wasn't there to protect it, they've gotten in. I think a lot of other stories, like with the hand, could have been left over. I think they could have maybe just fought with Madame Gao. I think him and Colleen in the story with Bakudo and Colleen, I think that could have carried over into season 2, and he just dealt with, temporarily getting rid of Madame Gao and dealing with the Meachums and wrapping up Harold Meacham's story. It seems to me they pretty much wrapped up all the stories, I guess, except with, where Madame Gao probably went in, Kung Lao at the end, and things like that. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good show. Just a lot of information again in there that didn't need to be in there. What else can I say about the Iron Fist? We didn't get the suit. We didn't get the Iron Fist suit, and I was kind of okay with that. We can save that on to another story. But yeah, he was just an imperfect Iron Fist, and I was fine with that. I didn't want him overpowered. Wow, guys, I don't really have much else to really say about the Iron Fist other than I thought it was a fair show. Oh, there is something else I wanted to say about it. We also got to keep in mind that the Iron Fist, of all the defenders, or all the Marvel superhero shows, he's the one who has the much broader, worldwide range story. Because remember, with all the other characters, Daredevil, the Punisher, Luke Cage, all of them are Jessica Jones. They're all taking place in these certain boroughs of New York, areas of New York. And you know, the Iron Fist is more, you know, is more worldwide. He's dealing with Rand, the Rand Corporation, which is you know, international. We're dealing with other locations, Kung Loun, and he has to, you know, we have to do the flashbacks there, which I thought was fair. You know, I thought they showed enough of Kung Loun and things like that. I'm glad they didn't show the dragon fight. I like how they did the dragon in the cave thing, keep it in that mysterious place, because I was wondering how they were going to address all that. I just like how they did it. Sometimes less is better. You know, you don't have to try to, you know, do everything, and then it kind of looks weird. And Marvel's done a really good job with their shows of kind of, you know, even though we got all this superpower, magical, mystical things going on, I just like the idea how they kept this air of realism, you know, going on in the real world, you know, although all these things are happening. So I think that kind of made the Iron Fist a bit more complicated character to do in the Defenders and amongst the Marvel Netflix lineup superhero shows. So I thought they did pretty good, you know, with how the story goes. I thought it was done fair. And you know, I liked it. Again, my only complaint was cut the episodes down. Cut out a lot of that other material. You know, they could have sped that up. They could have told this story with a lot less episodes, 8 to 10 episodes. Or they could have just cut out a lot of this stuff. You know, a lot of this. A lot of people like the acting with Ward Meacham, with Harold Meacham and everything. I do agree it was interesting. But I think it would have worked better for the audience had they kind of pretty much stuck with the Iron Fist story. You know, what was going on with him, getting to know him a little bit better, you know, more information about him, and things like that. You know, just kind of, you know, us learning about, you know, how the Iron Fist ability works and things like that. So, I didn't think the Meacham parts was bad. They were interesting. They're great actors. But, yeah, I would have liked to have seen it cut down a lot. I don't think the problem was that it was so slow. I think it was just too many stories being told, you know, at one time. But, yeah, all in all, guys, I would give it a B minus. You know, I thought it was good. You know, I was, you know, I didn't know if they was going to be able to tell this story. I really, in other words, I thought I was going to not like the Iron Fist. You know, I thought it was going to be much worse. In other words, and it was actually, you know, pretty entertaining for me, and I pretty much liked. So maybe because I kind of set the bar, the Iron Fist kind of low, it kind of went over. If that kind of makes sense to you guys. So, anyway, guys, that's my review. Tell me if you all like the Iron Fist show, what you liked about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, take care.